Today we're going to talk about solving equations that have one variable in them. Now the cool thing about solving equations with only one variable is that you can always check your answer. You can plug back in whatever you came up with as your answer and make sure that it still makes the equation true. So we're going to practice that on number 1 and number 2 just to make sure that you know how to do this process, because checking your answer is a very valuable part of solving equations. So they've given us an equation, 3x equals 12, and they've said the solution is x equals 4. We need to check it and make sure that really is the solution. So to do that, we're going to put our 3, but instead of an x, we're going to go ahead and substitute what we know x to be. So 4. So 3x, our x is now a 4, equals 12. Well, this is easy enough to see. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 equals 12. That's true. So yes, 4 was the solution to this problem. Okay, on number 2, we've got x minus 3 equals 10, and they want us to check and see if 7 is a solution for x. So instead of x, we're going to plug in 7. So 7 minus 3 equals 10. Okay, so 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 equals 10. That's not true. So no, 7 is not a solution to this particular equation. So the steps for solving equations are listed right here below, and what I want you to do is to put like a little star beside it or a smiley face or something so that you'll know this is something you need to come back to, something you need to see and use over and over until you just have them really in your own head and your own process. So I'm also going to add a step 0, and our step 0 is going to be clear fractions, because I have found that nobody likes to work on problems that have fractions. So if we can just start by clearing our fractions, then it'll make it a lot easier. So starting with number 3, we're going to go through our steps. So step 1 says we use the distributive property to remove any grouping symbols. Let's start. Step 0, clear fractions. We have no fractions. Step 1, distributive property. When I look at it, I have no parentheses, so there's nothing to distribute. Step 2 says I'm going to simplify on each side of the equation. So let's go ahead and draw a line so that we see that we have two sides of the equation. So we draw the line down the equals. On this first side, the left side of the equation, I don't have any like terms. And on the right side, there's only one term, so no like terms. Step 3 says to collect the variables on one side of the equation and the constant on the other side. So I only have one term with a variable. It's already on the left side, so step 3 is done. Then step 4 says isolate the variable. And notice that I've got add, subtract, then multiply and divide. So we've got to do the inverse to adding and subtracting before we do any inverses to multiply and divide. So as I'm looking at this, I have plus 4. That's an add. The inverse of adding 4 would be to subtract 4. So I'm going to undo it by doing the inverse. So my 4's cancel out, leaving me with 3x equals 19 minus 4 is 15. Okay, so I have nothing else to add or subtract. So now I can do the multiply and divide. So right now my x is being multiplied by 3. So the inverse operation of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. So I come up with x equals 5. Now I'm going to check it, make sure I got it correct. So I'm going to substitute into my original equation. Instead of an x, I'm going to use a 5. So I've got 3, and then I'm going to put a 5 right there instead of an x, plus 4 equals 19. So 3 times 5 is 15, plus 4 equals 19. So 19 equals 19. So I know that I've done this problem correctly. Okay, for number 5, I want you to pause the video and I'm going to have you do this one on your own. And then once you've completed and found out what z equals, I want you to check your solution to make sure you got it correct. Then turn the video back on and verify your answer. Okay, just verify that you got the same answer, z equals 2, and that you were able to check your answer.